So this is the next episode in our investigation of minor keys in rock and how to embellish what we can do apart from just playing a minor pentatonic. Now, in the last segment, we looked at the idea of a sequence going from A minor to F via a G. Okay, just before we talk about another position where we could add a C major scale to that A minor pentatonic fingering, it's also worth considering the fact that this sequence could actually just as easily have gone from A minor to D minor. Okay, so this is still what I would call a type 1. You could argue there's two reasons for this, and they kind of get us back to the same place. So it's useful to have both because people have different ways of thinking about stuff. Let's go with this. Okay, so A minor to F, no black notes involved, all natural notes. Okay. These are real chord sequences. These are things that happen in real songs. Now, just before I get onto that, I think it's so important to think, whenever you're practicing a scale or a chord or learning a chord shape or whatever, that you apply it to something. Now, my early experiences have bought the odd guitar magazine, and a lot of them seem to make life very complicated. And one thing in particular seemed to happen pretty regularly, which I found very irritating. Okay, and it's the following thing. I'd open up and say there'd be 2 pages, let's say. So these are sort of A4 size magazines, and it's got 2 pages on this scale. I thought, wow, this looks fantastic. This must be the key to the universe, this thing, So you get to the end of the second page, and then you turn it over, and there's a blooming advert for something. And so you turn over another page, and it's another article. In other words, there's no application of that knowledge, and so it's completely useless to you, really. So what we're sticking with here are things which happen in songs, because as a musician, that's all you're ever going to play. You're going to play songs, either with words or without. So, yeah. Anyway, enough about all that. So, A minor to D minor, same sort of thing as A minor to F. Now, the other way of looking at that is that D minor and F are relatives to each other. So therefore we can think of, that's another reason why we can think of A minor to D minor or A minor to F as being the same thing, a type 1 again. Now, in the last episode we looked at playing a C scale in second position and linking that to our A minor pentatonic. And for those of you who've seen the other bits and pieces that I've done on pentatonics, you'll know we've got this, we've got that extension up the top. Okay, well, it would make sense therefore that the next major scale fingering that we add to our minor pentatonic would be around that area, and as it happens, it's actually rather conveniently placed. We have a 2-octave C scale. What I would call an E-shaped scale. And incidentally, if you're not sure on your major scales, please go back and watch the series I did on that, because it's really important that you're standing on solid ground when you do this stuff. So okay, we've got our C scale here. Okay, and that, if you look at this graphic, is sitting right on top of where the pentatonic is. The shortcomings of some graphics we can't get away from. I'm sure if I become an expert at graphics over time, I'll figure out a way of having one of the one of the circles with half a colour in each one, but I've done the best that I can with what I've got for the moment. It's a work in progress. So let's just take a little look at a couple of examples of what happens when we get the opportunity to play our C scale. Now, if I'm working up the neck, okay, now I'm going to come back a fret. Just running down my C scale. The other thing that's worth considering is when we slid up before with our A minor pentatonic, we were playing 1 3 1 3, slide up, and then contracting our hand to get to the next position, which is fine, and that still holds good. But what we can also do now, we've got another choice, and this is really what developing proper articulation of your scales is all about. It's flexibility, really, so you can be spontaneous. So what we can do here, we go 1 3 1 3, slide up, but instead of tucking our first finger, we'll use a second finger, and if we like our first finger, okay, and this is arguably our first note that we've pinched from the C scale. There's a couple of applications of where we could use C scales, and I'm sure as you investigate further around the neck, you'll find others. If people are having trouble with that, I'm sure they'll be in touch and I can do a video on that. But I don't think you have that much trouble with it once you've got the concept in your head. So that's type 1. Now what I'd like to do in the next segment is just a couple of short examples where I'm going to play along with a couple of those sequences just so you can hear how those scales work, because as I said before, it's so important you hear these in practice. But I don't want to get that mixed up with you getting the theoretical side of it in your head. So anyway, so next part to come, and I'll be playing along with a couple of pieces that you can get the idea of what's going on. Thanks ever so much for watching, and as ever, please press the subscribe button, and likes are good as well, so that would be nice. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.